tell you about cell versus virus, battle for health.
You're in line at the grocery store when
You're in line at the grocery store when
someone sneezes on you.
someone sneezes on you.
The cold virus is sucked
The cold virus is sucked
inside your lungs and lands on a cell on your
and lands on the cell on your airway lining.
lining. Every living thing on Earth is made of
Every living thing on Earth is made of cells.
cells, from the smallest one-celled bacteria
The smallest one-cell bacteria
to the giant blue whale to you.
to a giant blue whale to you.
Each cell in your body is surrounded by a
Each cell in your body is surrounded by a cell membrane.
cell membrane, a thick, flexible layer made of
A thick, flexible layer made of fats and proteins.
a cell membrane, a thick, flexible layer made of fats and proteins that surrounds and protects the inner
That surrounds and protects the inner components.
components. It's semi-permeable,
It's semi-permeable,
meaning that it lets some things pass in and out,
meaning that it lets something pass in and out,
but blocks others.
but blocks others.
The cell membrane is covered with tiny projections.
The cell membrane is covered with tiny projections.
They all have functions, like
They all have functions,
helping cells adhere to
like helping cells adhere to their
neighbors or binding to nutrients the cell will need.
or bind to nutrients the cell will need.
Animal and plant cells have cell membrane.
Animal and plant cells have cell membranes.
Only plant cells have a cell wall,
Only plant cell has a cell wall,
which is made of rigid cellulose that gives the plant structure.
which is made of rigid cellulose that gives the plant structure.
The virus that was sneezed into your lungs is sneaky.
The virus that was sneezed into your lung is sneaky. Oh crap, not again.
The virus that was sneezed into your lungs is sneaky, pretending to be a friend.
Pretending to be a friend.
It attaches to a projection on the cell membrane,
It attaches to the projection of a cell membrane,
and the cell brings it through the cell membrane and inside.
and the cell brings it into the cell membrane and inside.
When the virus gets through,
When the virus gets through,
the cell recognizes its mistake.
the cell recognizes its mistake.
An enemy is inside.
An enemy was inside.
Special enzymes arrive at the scene and
Special enzymes arrive at the scene
chop the virus to pieces.
and chop the virus into pieces.
They then send one of the pieces
They then send one of the pieces
back through the cell membrane,
back to the cell membrane,
where the cell displays it to warn neighboring
where the cell displays it to warn neighboring cells
cells about the invader.
about the invader.
A nearby cell sees the warning and
A nearby cell sees the warning
immediately goes into action.
and immediately goes into action.
It needs to make antibodies,
It needs to make antibodies,
proteins that will attack and kill the
proteins that will attack and kill
invading virus.
the invading virus.
This process starts in the
This process starts in the nucleus.
nucleus. The nucleus contains our DNA,
The nucleus contains our DNA,
the blueprint that tells our cells how to make everything
the blueprint that tells our cells how to make everything
our bodies need to function.
our bodies need to function.
A certain section of our
A certain section of our DNA contains instructions
DNA contains instructions that tell our cells how to make
that tell our cells how to make antibodies.
antibodies. Enzymes in the nucleus find the right section of DNA,
Enzymes in the nucleus find the right section of DNA
then create a copy of these instructions
and create a copy of these instructions called messenger RNA.
Called messenger RNA. The messenger RNA leaves the nucleus to
The messenger RNA leaves the nucleus to carry out its orders.
The messenger RNA travels to a ribosome.
The messenger RNA travels into a ribosome.
There can be as many as 10 million ribosomes in a
There can be as 10 million ribosomes in a human cell,
all studded along a ribbon-like structure
all started along like a ribbon-like
called
structure
the endoplasmic reticulum.
called the endoplasmic reticulum.
This ribosome reads the instructions from the nucleus.
This ribosome reads the instruction from the nucleus.
Yes. It takes amino acids and links them together one by
It takes amino acids and links them together one by
one, creating an antibody protein that will go fight the virus.
creating an antibody protein that will go fight the virus.
Yes. But before it can do that, the antibody needs
But before it can do it, the antibody needs to leave the cell.
to leave the cell. The antibody heads to the Golgi apparatus.
The antibodies head to the Golgi apparatus.
Yes. Here it's packed up for delivery outside
Here it's packed up for delivery outside the cell.
the cell, enclosed in a bubble made of the same material as the cell membrane.
Enclosed in a bubble made of the same material as the cell membrane.
The Golgi apparatus also gives the antibody directions,
The Golgi apparatus also gives the antibodies directions,
telling it how to get to the edge of the cell.
telling it how to get to the edge of the cell.
When it gets there, the bubble surrounding
When it gets there,
the antibody fuses to the cell
the bubble surrounds the antibody, fuses to the cell membrane.
membrane. The cell ejects the antibody,
The cell injects the antibody
and it heads out to track down the virus.
and heads out to track down the virus.
The leftover bubble will be broken down
The leftover bubble will be broken down
by the cell's lysosomes, and
by the cell's lysosomes,
its pieces recycled over
and its pieces recycled over and over again.
and over again. Where did the cell get the energy to do all
Where did the cell get the energy to do all this?
this? That's the role of the mitochondria.
That's the role of the mitochondria.
To make energy, the mitochondria takes oxygen,
To the role this, the mitochondria takes oxygen.
This is the only reason we breathe
This is the only reason we breathe it.
it, and adds electrons from the food we eat
It adds electrons from the food we eat
to make water molecules.
to make water molecules.
That process also creates a high energy molecule
That process also creates a high energy molecule
called ATP, which the cell uses to power all of
called ATP, which the cell uses to power all its parts.
its parts. Plant cells make energy a different way.
Plant cells make energy a different way.
They have chloroplasts
They have chloroplasts
that combine carbon dioxide and
that combine carbon dioxide and
water with light energy from the sun
with light energy from the sun
to create oxygen and sugar,
to create oxygen and sugar,
a form of chemical energy.
a form of chemical energy.
All the parts of a cell have to work
All parts of the cell have to work together
together to keep things running smoothly,
to keep things running smoothly.
and all the cells of your body have to work together
And all your cells of your body have to work together
to keep you running smoothly.
to keep you running smoothly.
That's a whole lot of cells.
That's a whole lot of cells.
Scientists think there are about 37 trillion
Scientists think there are about 37 trillion of them.
of them.